Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to Stag Voiceover. My name is Neil Glasgow. In today's video, I'm going to be covering what do you charge when you actually secure a gig in voiceover. Now, there's no hard and fast rule with this. I've been asked many times over several weeks and months, hey, I'm new, I'm just getting started, what the hell do I charge? Well, hopefully this will give you a little bit of confidence in what you should be charging based on your experience, your level, and the client as well. So, with that in mind, let's get into it. So, as I've said, there's no hard and fast rule about what you need to charge. Need to charge is maybe the wrong way to look at that. What you should be charging based on your experience, what the project is, what your client can afford, all of that sort of stuff. So, just as a general rule, I'd say if you're just starting out, so this is under a year's experience, I'd say your sweet spot to say this is what I charge would be around the £150 mark, $150 or whatever denomination you use. I would say that someone with under a year's experience, $150 per gig is probably a fair price to ask for. Now, if you can get away with more, of course, get away with more. And what I mean by get away with is if your quality is of a high standard, then it's of a high standard. You're producing professional quality. And then I'd really move that up a little bit of it's an experience level. So someone that's been doing the job for a year plus, I'd say maybe a year to 2 or 3 years, £250, dollars, whatever, is probably, again, a fair wage. And then once you get past that point and you are consistently producing quality audio for quality clients time and time again, you've been in the game for quite some time, I think it's perfectly fair to ask for £300, dollars, etc. per gig. Now that's your basic fee, okay? Basic fee. And the reason I'm highlighting basic fee is say you're doing a commercial gig and your day rate is £300. And that commercial is actually going to go out on various social media channels or TV channels or whatever it is. You're going to want to charge a buyout fee. Now, buyout fees essentially mean that the client will pay you to utilise that for as long as that buyout fee lasts. Now, that could be 6 weeks, it could be 3 months, it could be a year. And you need to charge something proportionate to that time. So what I tend to do is say, okay, if it's got a buyout clause, if they need to use it for commercial purposes, I will charge somewhere between 50% and 500% of the basic studio fee. So my basic studio fee would be my £300, and then if I charge 100% of my £300 for my buyout, that is a double fee. That is £600 in total. And what that buys them is use it however they like for whatever period we agree to, and then once that period ends, they can't use it anymore, unless they come back to me and offer some more money. And I might say at that point, okay, well, I'll do that for another 50%, it might be another 100%, whatever it might be. You need to put these stipulations in place, but you also need to understand the usage. And that's very important when it comes to doing any commercial work. Anytime someone asks you, what do you charge for X, always ask the question, what are the commercial aspects or the usage rights that they're going to require? That's really important. Now, say you get approached for an e-learning gig, okay? And that might be 23 modules, and those modules could be anything from 1,000 words to 5,000 words per module. What do you charge? Well, you're not going to charge £300 per module. No one's going to pay for that. Or if you get that, well done you. That's a very difficult gig to land. What you want to do is work it out on a per word basis. And what I tend to do is say, okay, if it's 1,000 words, anything from 0 to 1,000, I'll charge 50p, 60p. And that'll give me my fee. If it's 1,000 to 2,000, I'll lower that a little bit. I might go to 40 to 50p. Again, if it goes up to 3,000 words, again, I might lower it just a little bit. I have a cut-off that I would recommend you do of maybe between 25 and 30 pence at the lowest. And that's like 5,000 words modules. But you've got to think that when you're timesing 30 pence by 5,000 per module, that does add up. It does give you a decent wage that comes out the back of that. But just be conscious that if you're going to do long-form narration and you're going to do these longer e-learning modules for clients, the longer they are, give them a more competitive price. Otherwise, they're just going to go somewhere else. Now, if you're doing something like an audiobook and they want to charge on a per finished hour basis, again, you're going to need to figure out what works for you. Now, what I tend to have, and this is me, what I tend to have as a minimum on a per finished hour basis is £200. I'd say, again, if you're just starting out, put that at 100. And if you do audiobooks day in and day out, I mean, you could get that up to £500 per finished hour. It really depends on the book, the production house. If you're working with one of these very large production houses, 500 is fine. If you're working with maybe a more independent, work with the budget. But per finished hour is essentially, if the book's 5 hours and you charge £100 per finished hour, it's £500 is what you're going to get paid for that. That doesn't include all the time it takes for you to record, edit, master, all that sort of stuff. So you need to be conscious of what your time is going to be in that to work out whether that's worth it for you. I mean, I've been approached for £50 per finished hour on a 53,000 word book. I can't make that timeline work for that budget, but other people may. But again, just be conscious what you want to charge versus what your per finished hour is going to be. Make sure it's worth it for you. There's nothing worse than doing an epically long book and realising at the end you're really not making that much money. And the last thing I'm going to talk about, I'm going to lump all of these together. Say you're working on a text-to-speech, something like a Siri. If you're going to be the voice of Siri, or you're working on like the next big Rockstar game, the next GTA, something like that, and you're going to be a main character. Those are the gigs that you're going to be talking about in the tens, possibly into the hundreds of thousands for not only the usage rights in perpetuity of your voice, but really covering all sort of residuals and everything that you might get involved with. Now, what you're going to need to understand is what the usage of your voice is going to be, how long, how many platforms. At this stage, on those types of projects, it's probably best to engage with an agent if you can. But you're looking at really a minimum £8,000, £9,000, £10,000, all the way up to 90, 100 plus £1,000. I'd say the original person who was the voice for Siri probably bought a house off of that. These are really well-paying jobs. They're few and far between, but if you can land them, just know that you're not going to be going in at £300 an hour plus your buyout. You're going in the tens of thousands. So just be aware of that, and I hope that helps. I hope that gives you some insight into what you could and should and would be charging once you start landing your voiceover gigs. If you found that helpful at all, give me a like and subscribe, share it on Facebook, Twitter and all the usual YouTube stuff. And remember, you can absolutely be a voiceover artist. I'll see you in the next video.